you for joining us on this YouTube Live simulcast to Facebook as well. Hey, we welcome those who are watching the recording of this particular broadcast. Today, I'm going to be talking about partnering with what God is already doing. And we're doing it on a Monday this week instead of a Tuesday. We have a special thing happening tomorrow morning. We're doing a film session, not a film session, a picture session with our staff. And we've got some new staff and we've had some transition on our staff. So that's going to be good for our website, for other uses. And so, yeah, thank you very much for being flexible. And we might get some new people on here on Monday. My wife, Wendy, just came back from San Marcos, Texas, great conference there with some friends that we have. And there, she did a conference, Dana McCollum, Joaquin Evans. Wow, it was good. And I'm headed to Christiansburg, Virginia this weekend. I will be in Minneapolis and Rochester, Minnesota at the end of September. We'll be in the Tri-City area in Washington State in October, and I will be in Bradenton, Florida in October as well. You can find that out on our ignitinghope.com itinerary. Hey, good morning to people who are on the live. Ken, good morning. Tamara, Allison, glad you joined us from London, England. Shauna, thanks so much for joining us. Rhonda, wow, it's going to be a great time. Hilberg, glad you're joining us from Germany. Jenny, Sherry, wow, we got quite the crew on today. Now, here we go. We're going to talk today about partnering with what God is already doing. Jared, Bradenton's going to be fantastic. Partnering with what God is already doing. Now, Jesus, it's interesting that in Mark 4:35, Jesus, he said this. He said, "Do you not say 4 months and then the harvest? But I say to you, look up and see, the fields are white for a harvest." He says, you say that it's not happening yet. You say we need to wait. We need to wait for something to happen. But Jesus said, I say to you, look up and see, the fields are white for harvest. Basically, what Jesus is saying, he's saying, if you look up, you're going to see what's already happening, and you're going to partner with that. You know, I heard this story about a traveling speaker, itinerant speaker, and they asked him, they said, how come every place you go, revival breaks out? He says, well, I just pray and ask the Lord where the next revival is, and then I just go there. And that's the example of partnering with what God's already doing. Now, obviously, we understand 1 Corinthians 3:6, where Paul says, I planted, Apollos watered, and God gave the increase. And even in that, we recognize that God is supernaturally working. And yes, we give the Lord things to work with. We plant, we water. But all of that is going to be maximized when we have a sense that what we're doing, and we have a sense that what we're investing our time and our passions and our energy and our resources into is actually something that he's doing. Because if we create, the classic example is in the Old Testament, and we're talking today about partnering with what God is already doing. And if the classic example in the Old Testament was when Abram and Sarah got the plan to help God out, and they created an Ishmael, literally Ishmael. And so we certainly don't just want to rashly and without forethought and without prayer start something that's just a good idea. Start something because everybody else is doing it. No, there needs to be a sense that, okay, God, I believe you're on this. And really one of the greatest questions, and by the way, great to see you, JR, there in Alaska. Joseph, thanks for joining us from Honduras. By the way, I'm hearing for you, Joseph, that there's supernatural connections. You are a supernatural connector. And I see that your gift of connecting people with the right resources, the right ministries, the right people, the right books, the right strategies, that's going to a higher level. And the Lord is going to connect you with somebody in this next season or something in this next season that's it's almost like taking the brakes off. You've already done great things, but it's like driving with the parking brake on. You're going to feel a freedom that's going to launch you and accelerate you. And so that, again, the question is, God, what are you doing? What are you doing? John 4:35 again. Jesus said, do you not say 4 months and then the harvest? But I say to you, look up and see. Look up and see, the fields are white. Now, you know what hope does? Hope causes you to look up and see what's happening. It causes you to look up and see. One of the greatest hope-bringing verses in the whole Bible is 1 Corinthians 10:13. It says, no temptation has come upon you except which is common to man. Now let me just pause there. This isn't the point that I'm making, but the greatest temptations that we face are not to do behavioral wrong, it's to believe lies. And because even in the Garden of Eden, that's where Eve was tempted to believe the lie that God was not good and that he was withholding something good from her. Now, and then she moved into the behavioral sense. So it says, no temptation has come upon you except which is common to man. So we all face the same temptations to believe lies. Ephesians 6:16 says, take up the shield of faith, take up the shield of good beliefs, wherewith you're able to quench all the fiery darts of the evil one. And those fiery darts are lies. And so we take up the shield of faith, the shield of good beliefs. We're able to quench the lies that come at us. And we all hear the same lies. No temptation has come upon you except which is common to man. We all hear the same lies. Questioning our identity, questioning our future, questioning God's love for us, etc. And so, this is 1 Corinthians 10:13. No temptation has come upon you except which is common to man, and God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you can bear, but with the temptation, and some versions say with the trial, but with the temptation, will provide a way of escape that you may be able to bear up under it. Now, Now, what this verse basically tells us is there's always a solution. There's no temptation, there's no trial that is too much for us. Now, sometimes I say, Lord, I don't know, man, this feels too much, but this is what the word says. He will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you can bear, but with the temptation will provide the way of escape, that you may be able to bear up under it. Now, the reason we can bear up under temptation and trials is because we believe there's a way of escape. We believe there's a solution. One of my favorite declarations is there is always a solution. And it's rooted in this verse. It's rooted in James 1:5, where it says, if any man lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives generously without finding fault, and it will be given to him. If any man lacks solutions, any man lacks ideas, any man lacks strategies, let him, and you're going to get it. If you ask in faith, it's coming. And so this belief that there's always a solution, this belief that there's already something happening in place, that as we move towards that it's going to be a way of escape, whether it's a way of escape out of negative emotions, a way of escape out of negative circumstances, or whatever. And so this belief system creates hope. And by the way, the thing about the brain, if the brain doesn't believe there's a solution, it won't look for a solution. My wife, Wendy, loves to study the brain. And she read that, again, if the brain doesn't believe there's a solution, it won't look for one. So the belief that there is no solution concerning a situation is a bigger problem than the situation. The belief that there is no solution is a bigger problem almost always than the situation. So once the brain believes there's a solution, this is where hope is. Because hope people believe they have a lot of options. Hope people believe that God is not just limited to one way of meeting our need. Amen, David. We're believing that for your wife. So faith people without hope tend to isolate, tend to narrow their perspective to believe God can only do something through one avenue. But faith people with hope believe God can get us to where we need to go in many different ways. Faith people with hope are like people who have a spiritual GPS. We all got a spiritual GPS system, but it's just activating it. You know, when I'm driving, using my GPS on my phone, let's say I miss a turn and or the road is blocked. My GPS system doesn't say, you just blew it. This trip is over. I cannot get you to where you need to go from here. It doesn't say that. It just says recalculating. It still finds a way. Now, that's how hope people are. Hope people believe there's always solutions. There's always directions. There's always, but hope, faith people without hope say God's going to do it this way. Faith people with hope say, yeah, that's very possible, but God might want to do it another way. Now, this puts us in a place where our eyes are lifted up. Where our eyes are lifted up. And we're seeing multiple options. We're seeing different ways. And we'll see where God is moving, where God is working, where God is doing something that's connected to what we're believing for, where we're going, that we wouldn't have seen before. And so the question really is, God, what are you doing now? What are you doing? I mean, in a church service, we can ask God, what are you doing? Who are you on? I've been in meetings where there's people who were in a prayer meeting. Someone would come, hey, Steve, this spot on the floor, it's a spiritual hot spot. And they would sometimes get chalk and draw a circle around it. Say, get in there. God's moving right there. Now, some would say, well, that's ridiculous. No, that's exercising our senses to discern what God is doing. Jesus said in John 4:35, look up and see, the fields are white for a harvest. So look up, it's already happening. Just say out loud right now, it's already happening. It's already happening. And that belief, I mean, whether it's in your own life, whether it's in your family, whether it's in your marriage, whether it's in your finances, whether it's in your job, your school, wherever you're assigned, your neighborhood, it's already happening. It's already happening. An area of a desire or dream that you have, something's already happening in that area to partner with. I've shared recently again about the widow in 2 Kings 4. She's in debt. Creditors are coming to take away her sons and to pay off the debt. She's talking to the prophet Elisha. He asks her a question. What do you have in your house? What do you have? Basically, what's happening? What's happening? What do you have that is happening? Well, the only thing, she said, I have nothing except a little oil. That's the only thing that was happening was a little oil. And what was so funny, she said, I have nothing except a little oil. And one of the main purposes of prophetic ministry is to take your eyes off of what you think is not happening to actually see what is happening. Let me say that again. One of the main purposes of prophetic ministry is to take your eyes off of what you think is not happening to actually see what is happening, to see what you already have, something to partner with now. Whew. Didn't seem like much, but God was on it. Once you start working with what God's doing rather than trying to create something on your own, it accelerates it. It will accelerate it. In Luke 10, you've got the story of Jesus sending out the 70, and he basically says, hey, if you find a person of peace, stay there. Leave your peace there. And this is one of the main models. Oh, my dog Buddy, he's barking his approval. This is one of the main mission models to reach different people groups. And this is a key right now. This is a key. Whether you're going to Africa and wanting to reach a certain tribe, or you're wanting to reach your family in a greater way, or reach teenagers in a greater way, or reach senior citizens in a greater way, reach people who believe politically different than you in a greater way. This principle is look for who is responding as you go, believe there's going to be something. Look up and see. You're going to see people responding. And that's Jesus' model of missions and bringing breakthrough to different people groups and different cultures, is to look for people who are responding. Maybe you live in an apartment complex and you've got a desire to see people get reached. Well, who's responding? Who can you connect with? Don't focus on all the people who aren't responding. Look at who is responding. And you say, well, it doesn't look like much. Well, that God doesn't need much. But when we break off the belief system, it's not happening. It's not happening. And when we're negatively focused, and then we want to label people a certain way, or say this area is hard, or the people here are this or that, it'll break that off of us. It'll break that off of us, and we'll move into a place of influence. Hey, today we're talking about partnering with what God is already doing. It is a key for success. I'm talking right now, Jesus said in John 4:35, do you not say 4 months and then the harvest? But I say to you, look up and see, the fields are white for harvest. And I want to say it's already happening. Sometimes we look at our own lives and we feel stuck, and we feel like we use negative comparison to label ourselves, and we believe that nothing's happening. Let's laugh at that. Ha ha. Woohoo. Ha ha. Let's laugh at that. Listen, it's already happening in you. Just saying, God, what are you doing in me right now? What's this season about? What are you doing in me? That's a great question. Because what's happening in us is more important than what's happening through us. Sometimes, what's he doing in me? He's strengthening my heart connections with people. He's causing me to overcome inferiority. Whatever it is, put language to it. Put language to it. Partnering with what God is already doing. God, what are you doing in me? What are you doing in my family? Some would just focus on the negatives. What's not happening? No, God's doing something. You know what? Say, I can't see it. Well, hope is going to cause you to see it, because hope people believe that the Lord has many different ways, avenues to accomplish what is promised and what he says he's going to do. What's he doing in your city? Jesus is, again, he says, look up and see, the fields are white. Jesus is obliterating in that statement. He's obliterating, just focusing on the negative, focusing on the problem, focusing on the past. He's obliterating that. So we partner with what God's doing. You want to see a certain outcome happen. You've got a passion for something. You've got a passion. Maybe it's to help the homeless. Maybe it's about fatherlessness. Maybe it's about marriage and bringing healthy marriage, and what you feel you have to offer you think is so small concerning a big problem. Listen, all great things start with small things. Nothing big, nothing great, all of a sudden just starts just starts out big and great. It all starts small. And what it is but this, what I'm sharing today, will speed things up. If you have a cause, if you have a passion, look up and see. Learn from people already doing it. Partner with them, assist them. Find a way to be a strength to them. Serve. Find someone else, or maybe the same person, to partner with that God is moving on. Find others who are in your area or in your sphere of influence that are responding and begin to move forward. It's already happening. We don't build a structure and ask God to fill it. We find out what he's doing and build a structure around it. There's pastors on here. There's leaders. There's business leaders. There's parents. Listen, what is God doing? What is God doing? You say he's doing nothing. Well, let's laugh at that. No, he's doing something. You say, I need to wait for him to do something. No, he's waiting for you to look up and see what's already happening. He's waiting for you to break off that pessimism, to break off that victim mindset, to break off that passivity. And by the way, there's grace on this particular Facebook Live. There's grace on this to cause you to see like never before. To see. Maybe you're battling for hope. Look up and see. He's already doing something. Maybe you feel like all doors are closed, that the right people aren't recognizing you. No, look up and see. There's doors that are open. But if we get fixated on particular doors or particular outlets for us or particular outcomes, we will not see the doors that are open. Wow. Woohoo! Spiritual LASIK surgery. I love it. Hey, we're going to wrap this up. We're wrapping this up. Hey, thanks so much for joining us today on our Igniting Hope YouTube channel. It's great to have Nate on here. He's going to be helping us this year. Great third-year student. He's going to be helping us. You're going to see in the next few months some upgrades. We've already made upgrades, but we are going to go to another level. Hey, by the way, let me just announce this to you. But if you just jumped on here, this is a fun one to listen to again or to watch. This is a key. This is a key for forward movement. We're starting our transformational mind renewal course in September, 5 months course. If you're looking for something to accelerate your growth, to accelerate your understanding of how you get transformation by the renewing of the mind, that's going to be a great course. We have 2 levels, the essential level, and then we have the intensive level, which has much more community, plus you get 3 sessions with an Igniting Hope certified belief trainer. Hey, if you want to do a group with it, just email us at info@ignitinghope.com. We can talk to you about that. That's going to be starting September 12th. September 12th. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. Debbie, great to have you on here. Yes, it changed you. It is powerful. It's made for people on the go, the Transformational Mind Renewal course. You can find out about that at ignitinghopeacademy.com. I did not say that. ignitinghopeacademy.com. You can find out about that, our other courses that we have as well. All right. Remember, there's no hopeless circumstances. There's just people who do not have hope. And once people get true hope, circumstances cannot stay the same. And a perspective of hope and joy is the fruit of good beliefs. A perspective of hope and joy is the fruit of good beliefs. And we'll be on with you again. Connie Jones will be on with you on Wednesday. God bless everybody. Thanks so much for being part of the Igniting Hope family.